Previously on the Motion Picture Notion.
It's my show now, you bitch. Hi, welcome to the Motion Picture Notion. I'm your host, none of your fucking business. That's who. This is my spoiler review for Scream 6. In short, nothing wrong with this movie. It was great from beginning to end. Everything was...
Housekeeping.
You're still alive?
Yeah, I'm not about to let you hijack my review.
Nobody cares about your bitch-ass opinion.
I have a gun. I'm gonna count to 3. 1, 2,
Later.
3.
So the movie opens up with Samantha Weaving, who's waiting on a first date. She gets stabbed by somebody in a Ghostface costume, and then Ghostface unmasks himself, revealing himself to be a college university student, and you're like, okay. He goes back to his apartment. Jason Takes Manhattan is playing on his television, and then believes he is getting a call from his partner in crime. Turns out that's not who it is. So very, very cool opening to the film. Randy Meeks' niece and nephew are good, and what they're talking about is kind of a stretch with like the sequel to a requel kind of a thing, and the subverting expectations. I still don't like the fact that they're making so much reference to Rian Johnson. I mean, it was lessened in this one, and they didn't do any of the characters dirty, but I still don't like, guys, take Last Jedi off of this pedestal that you're holding it on, because it's a fucking shit movie. It's a shit movie, and everybody knows it's a shit movie. This is coming from a very particular perspective that's very friendly in Hollywood right now, and that vibe kind of bothers me a little bit, because it is just so anti, like, what Wes Craven did. That being said, I'm kind of going on about very, very minute details, the conversations between them about the requels, and even the fact that this is a continuation of the requel, which to me really does hint that there's going to be a third chapter, because the Star Wars sequels, the Jurassic World sequels, the Blumhouse Halloween trilogy, all these like remakeables that are coming out around this time period are coming in threes. So a requel would be like a trilogy sequel to the original trilogy, and 4 is just kind of that outlier. Kirby's in this movie. She's in the FBI. I look at that as a little bit of a stretch, but it's fine, whatever. Leading up to the ending, the setup is great because there are 3 killers. Good on them for doing something different for a change. I also like the fact that the Dermot Mulroney character is the mastermind behind the whole thing, because it kind of takes that whole Detective Kincaid thing, which I brought up before about Scream 3, like, man, wouldn't that guy have made the perfect killer, because he has access to all these files, he has access to firearms, he has access to bulletproof vests, he has some like pull in the legal system, he can get places that other people cannot. So it felt sort of like a wasted opportunity that they go for in this one, and I love that. The other two killers are his two children, and they are supposed to be the younger siblings of Richie, the main killer from the last movie. That's something that is getting a little bit tired for me with these Scream movies. It's like in Scream 2, okay, when it was Mrs. Loomis. Scream 3, it's like, oh, I'm your half-brother that was abandoned. It's like, okay, you're stretching it now. Oh, now we have Billy Loomis's, illegitimate daughter is the new final girl. And now it's like, I am the father and these are the siblings of the guy that you killed in the last movies. I didn't really care as much at that point because by this point in the movie I was pretty invested. But right off the bat, when he starts monologuing, they lost me. Because his daughter, who was like one of their friends, she's the last person to take off her mask. And they're like, but we saw you die, because you do see her get killed in an earlier part of the movie. And Dermot Mulroney is going on to say like, well, that's the wonder of being a police officer, because I could go in there and I could replace the body with something else and they're not going to bother a grieving father. It's like, whoa, 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 hold the phone. You're telling me that you were the first person to arrive on that crime scene. The paramedics and everybody who wanted to check your daughter's vital signs, they just fucked off in the hallway while you grieved? And they gave you enough time. I mean, it must have been like a half hour to clean everything up and switch it out with whatever the hell you switched it out with. Did you take a body from the morgue or did you have like a dummy? They were very fuzzy on what exactly he did. Also, did you arrive on the scene with a huge sack on your back? How logistically speaking did any of this work? And the whole concept that they wanted to frame these murders on Samantha, it's like, is the forensics team never going to examine the body of your daughter? Your plan has so many plot holes. It's not even like a plot hole. It's like a plot crater. I'm lost for words at how stupid and just not thought out that was. There is, and I'm not exaggerating when I say this, there is not one person who makes it out of this film without a stabbing. A thorough stabbing. And in certain points, it's like, okay, it kind of works, but these people were human pincushions. This is like to such an overwhelmingly crazy degree. When shit really hits the fan, Ghostface comes up behind Jenna Ortega's character and stabs her full on in the back. I'll watch the movie again. Maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe I was hallucinating, but to me, it looked like he stabbed her in the back with the knife up to the hilt. And then Randy's nephew, okay, one Ghostface has each of his arms and they're just stabbing him in the chest. And he's like, oh, it's okay, just go. Okay, so pincushion there. But then Jenna Ortega's running away like nothing. Not even like holding her side, not even like just full on running like nothing wrong. And at first I thought, I'm like, she's the killer. I got that Billy Loomis vibe from, Scream 1 where he's like, Sid, hey, that motherfucker's not dead. But no. And in fact, to emphasize it later, you see that it's like on her shoulder blade and it's like a slash. It's like she was not slashed on the shoulder blade. She was stabbed full on in the back. Sam stabs the son in the chest what has to be like 15 times. Like has to be 15 times. Once again, gets up as Jenna Ortega is like dangling from the balcony and he's just like, like jumping up and slashing at her with the knife, like, oh, like, come on, yeah. It's like, bro, clearly they all did PCP. I mean, if they had at least set it up like that, actually, that would have been a really cool idea. If they had established that Dermot Mulroney had like gone to the evidence lockup and given them all PCP, that actually would have been a really cool idea, okay? But this guy is not even fazed by the fact that he was stabbed in the chest 15 times. She drops down, but now she's got a knife. She gets stabbed in the stomach, and then she stabs him right in the mouth, up to the hilt, like he's filleting the knife, and then twists the knife. Now remember this, because this comes back later. So then they take out the other killers. The daughter gets it relatively easy. She gets hit in the head with a brick and then shot in the head. And then Dermot Mulroney, like they finally, get him and she stabs him God knows how many times, more times than she stabbed her boyfriend in the last movie. And then she stabs him in the eye and he's dead. He's done. Boom. And then there's the, as Randy would have said, you know, the final scare at the end where the son gets up, yells, and runs at them. Stabbed in the chest 15 times, stabbed in the fucking throat with a knife, still full energy, running at them. But we're not done yet, guys. We're not done yet. Because when they get out, Randy's niece, who was stabbed in the subway, and not just stabbed, mind you, stabbed in the side and cut up. All right? Like a C-section cut, but like where her fucking kidney would be. You see her survive the scene. You are aware of the fact that she's in the hospital. Okay, fine. But she comes like running out, like full energy, like, oh my God, I'm so happy you guys are okay. It's like, what? Get the fuck out of here with that. She would have lost half her blood supply. She would be unconscious right now with an IV in her arm. She would not be physically able to get out of bed with that. And then Randy's freaking nephew, they're carting him out on a stretcher. The dude was stabbed in the chest like umpteen hundred times by two ghost faces. This was a superhero movie in disguise as a horror film. It sounds like I hated it. I'm frustrated with it. I think that's the best way to put it, honestly, because up until that point, it was very creative. It was suspenseful, well written, well edited. It just comes off like the studio had these people under its thumb and they demanded this to be like packaged and ready to go by early 2023. It just has this like rushed vibe at the end. Scream 6, you know, as I said in the last video, it's worth going out to see, but it just is not grounded in reality at all. And I think that it was kind of lazy the way they ended it. And I hope that going forward, they take more time to like really kind of think these things through before they just poop out another sequel. But that's my thoughts. All right, guys, if you're watching me on Rumble, feel free to subscribe to my YouTube. If you're watching my YouTube, feel free to create a Rumble and follow me on there, unless you already have one, which is pretty freaking awesome. And that's all she wrote.
Is he gone? Hey, fuck that guy. The movie wasn't that bad. What did you guys think? Comment below, let me know.